Thank you all for coming, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It's my pleasure, you know?
We made sure you guys were on time.
Please, hold on. Hold your applause until you see what I actually did here.
Until you see my PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, this is my wife, Casey, by the way. She does all of the photography for Salt Glass, so and the books, and just kind of keeps me organized. She gets most of the shit together, honestly. So that's why she's sitting up here with me. I kind of had to make her though. But I'm not really like technically qualified to do this. I feel like the only thing that makes it okay for me to be here is that you're all willing to listen to what I have to say. So I appreciate that. And yeah, can everybody hear me? I kind of thought I was gonna have a microphone. No? You can't hear me? How about now? Is that better? Just have to yell like this? I will if I have to. I'm gonna keep it like pretty brief. I know we all are trying to set up and like do business, you know, so I'm trying to get this, you know, run through as quick as I can. And give you the information that I put together, and then give you a chance to ask questions. And if you can't hear, or if you need me to repeat something, just holler up here, okay? So, yeah, it's 3:30 exactly, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Oh yeah, I should say thank you to Glass Vegas Expo for putting this whole thing together, invite me to do this. Yeah. They obviously have their shit together, especially if you've done other trade shows. This is like a really high quality operation, and they're very organized. So I'm going to try to match that. Okay, so I started off with taxes because for me, in my experience, it was kind of like the scariest part. Is that I knew that I had to do it, and I wasn't, at first I wasn't doing it, and I knew that, you know, you can get in trouble, but what I learned is that once you kind of get into it and you get through it, it's not that big of a deal. And the first, I've made some reasons here of why you should do your taxes, because you get to stay free and keep your shit. But the other thing is, if you're self-employed, the way that, say, lending for housing works is different. We have to show income in specific ways, and one of the main ways is tax returns. So if you want to put on big boy pants and own a house, if you don't already, then that's the kind of thing that you have to do, is to begin to organize and pay your taxes. And also, once I had begun this process and started doing it, it took a lot of it was relieving, you know, it took a lot of stress out of my life. And so I kind of recommend it. And the main thing you should do is hire an accountant. This is what they do, is keep track of this stuff. The tax laws are very confusing and they're always changing. And you need an expert in your corner to help you know what to do, to answer questions, and to guide you. And the IRS likes it when your tax return is signed off by an accountant. That's like kind of them, you know, you're playing the game, basically. And My accountant has helped me save money and structure things, and it goes like further and further into your business, like as you more you work with them. But taxes are very complicated, but it's not expensive to use an accountant, and that's like the main thing to take from this is when you go to do it, is just hire an accountant. If it can be somebody that you know, as long as you trust them, but find somebody and get started if you haven't already. Knowing the deadlines and the pitfalls, like there are things that if you do them, then it sends up a red flag to the IRS, and that's another thing that an accountant is good for, is to avoid stuff that the IRS is going to be like, whoa, what's this? And then take a much closer look. Because even if you're doing everything right, the jury is in on the fact that if you get audited, it's no fun. And so by hiring an accountant, you can avoid things that will make the IRS want to audit you. Okay. So in structuring your business, you may want to form an LLC, and that stands for Limited Liability Company, and they're created under state law, but it allows you to operate in different ways. It's kind of a diverse format. You can operate as a corporation or a sole proprietorship, or you can have a partnership. And this is, again, another thing that an accountant will help you decide based on what the nuts and bolts of your business will help you decide what the best way to structure is so you can keep the most money possible. And we formed an LLC in 2005, I think, and we operate as a C corporation, I think, yeah. And so that lets us pay ourselves in a certain way that essentially you can be, as an individual, you can be taxed in multiple ways. Your self-employment, your income tax, and as a corporation, the corporation is only taxed in some of those ways and not all of them. So talk to your accountant. Like, I'm not qualified to give you guys tax advice, but this is how I got there, was like one step at a time, and eventually we restructured, and now we're able to like keep a little bit more money. The corporation pays one tax and we pay another, but it all is filed under one thing, and it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's just, this protects you too. The limited liability company is a layer between, say you make torch tubes and they're filled with liquid butane, and then one blows up and burns a house down. No one can sue you as an individual. Your business protects you, basically. So this is just a very entry level corporate veil, and that's what that means, is a separation between your personal assets and the ones that could potentially be litigated against. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Organization. All right. So this is where I feel like I have a lot more to offer specifically. We use Quickbooks Online, and so that's just a simple accounting software. It's one of many. I use Quickbooks because it's what we had, what we were already using, and we've learned more and more. There's a lot of options out there, and you should look into them, but I can recommend this one. The online version kind of stays current. It updates itself. You don't have to buy new software all the time. You just kind of pay a subscription, right? It allows you to do invoicing. You can track the activity of the shops that you deal with. You can track expenses and other transactions. And one of the best parts is that the online QuickBooks links to your business account. So instead of a lot of the data entry that you would have to do, it automatically enters receipts, like, say, if you're using like a credit card. I mean, Casey does all this basically, so, but it makes things a lot easier, and especially if you're running your business, doing everything yourself, you want to, make things as easy as you can and automate as much as possible. It also provides these set expense categories. So when you are paying your taxes, there's these things called write-offs, and that's money that you've spent on your business that you don't have to pay taxes on that money, okay? And so those expenses fall into different categories, and sometimes you can claim all of that money, sometimes you can claim part of it, But QuickBooks helps you organize where to put that money so that when you are using your accountant, you're paying them for their time, but it's not hours and hours and hours. It's already like somewhat organized when they get the information, and it makes things cheaper and just smoother and easier. And the more you do it, like the easier it gets, kind of a thing. And then see, it lets you know whenever tax payments are due or forms are due. Because if you're self-employed, you should be filing quarterly, which means reporting your income and sending a payment in quarterly. And it's a little more to keep track of, but it's better than trying to make a humongous payment at the end of the year, which is can be really hard financially. So if you keep up with it, it's a little easier, but the QuickBooks helps you to keep track. Payroll services. Payroll is if you're structured like we are as a corporation, we pay ourselves like we are employees, and so it allows us to file a certain way, and like I said, it shows our income in more of a structured sense, which the bank likes. But payroll is its own thing, and so QuickBooks makes that really easy. And so instead of adding more complication, it kind of makes it just makes it easier, basically. Okay, then the other thing is processing your work after it's made. This is the other thing that I feel like I bring a lot to the table when I'm dealing, say, with the shop, because when I process my work, I fill out this artist paperwork, and it's like a way for me to communicate with Casey, and I have one employee, but I can put the information about this work down, and so they don't have to come and ask me what color is this, or what size joint is this, or who's the other artist. It's all done, and so they have that to reference to, and it's a little work up front, but it makes things easier later on, and I'll kind of get a little further into that. But at the same time that I fill out that work, I sign everything, so they kind of I got a list and I'm checking off the boxes. I have a lot of pieces that are numbered, so I also will go through and number the pieces, and I have a separate set of paperwork that keeps track of the numbers of each piece. It's in this cool little trapper keeper thing. And then we have a shelf system in our garage, and the shelves are labeled, and it's just this work is for sale, this work is ready to ship, this work needs to be repaired, and it's just simple stuff like that can really help you visually see at a glance what's going on in your space and stay more organized. Specifically, if someone hits you up what work do you have available, and you can just go, oh, this is the available work shelf. And if you have someone working for you where you don't have to explain all of these details each time, they can reference the shelving and this paperwork, and it just makes things a little smoother. And then photography. So photography is always good for documentation. It helps to promote and sell the work. But we take two different kinds of photography. The studio shots that she takes are more for marketing and sales, and we do use them for organization. But we also have, if someone sends me prep work or a piece to decorate, we will photograph that as the box is opened, and we have a record on the iPad that shows this is what came in, and it just helps us keep track of more stuff. And at the same time, when we're sending an order out, before the box gets packed, all of the glass is on the table together. We take one shot that shows everything, and it's kind of like chain of command. If the box shows up and the shop is we're missing item number 42 on the invoice, we can reference that photo and be oh, it's not in the photo. You're right, you are missing it. Or we can say, you might want to go back through that packing material because it should be in there. It's in our record or whatever. And so it's a lot of little extra steps, but after doing business for as long as we have and dealing with as many, I make a lot of small pieces, this has been really helpful for us to just not ever lose anything, basically. So.
You want to touch on that, keeping them separate?
Oh, right, yeah, we put this, that took a few minutes to make that business be read like that, so let me basically, you want to separate your business account from your personal account, and this is another way. Legally you want to separate them, but also organizationally, all of the expenses that you have for your business should be run through their own channel, And it just makes it that much easier to know, like, these are business expenses and these are personal expenses. And I know it's like, it can be kind of a pain in the ass, but it can literally be as simple as just, I have one credit card that's my business card and one credit card that's my personal card. And you just make sure that you use the right one at the right time. And that's, that's what we do, so. Okay, what do we got next here? Oh, this is an example of this artist paperwork. I just put it in here so you can see how simple it is. I mean, this is literally the scratching in the dirt first, thought that we had, and we've been using it for years now. It allows me to go, okay, is this UV or not? Is it CFL or not? Is it for something specific? What's the name of the order? It's all, and you can add anything to this. This is just what we find to be useful, and yeah, I don't know. We keep this paperwork after the fact, even though we don't need it. But every once in a while, somebody asks a question or that we need to reference something, and we'll pull it up. Did you have a question?
I noticed a lot of this is being recorded. Is there a resource after this event?
That's a good question. We've certainly thought about it. I have no problem making it available. I know that Mike here is going to make it available, probably, right?
Torchtalk.com.
You're just gonna
stream and I'm running up to the room afterwards.
You're not going to film it and just keep it to yourself. Watch it in the bathroom or whatever. And then at the bottom here, these are other types of paperwork that we have. We have, like I said, for incoming prep work and other pieces. I have a custom orders paperwork for people to fill out if they happen to want something. I have repair forms, and it's just, it's really just kind of a way to eliminate some of the basic question and answer. Like if you go on any website, they'll have the Q&A section, or frequently asked questions, and that's what this is me trying to get out in front and minimize the amount of people time that I have to spend, so I can spend my time working and making stuff, which is what I enjoy. Shop relations. Okay, so the market is it's not a black and white situation. There are all kinds of new avenues, and people make and sell things directly. People resell their pieces. People sell things in auctions on Instagram. There's all different ways of doing business. But philosophically, these are some of the things that I think about and how I have conducted myself. When you're dealing with the shop, which I think is important, and I think everybody here probably agrees if you're at the trade show, right? I like to think of my shops as my partners, and not just my partners, but the partners that are doing the hard part of the job. Because dealing with people on an everyday basis, you're teaching kindergarten. Some people come in and they know what's going on, but some customers don't, and they have to teach them from the ground up. And so all this paperwork that I use, or that I fill out, I use that and I add it to the invoice, and that's where this what do they need is. They need information. They need to know what is this piece? What kind of piece is it? Is there a special name for it? Is it made with another artist? Who is that artist? How do you spell his name? What are the Instagram accounts? And that all can be filled out and shared fairly easily using something like Quickbooks, and it's really powerful for the shop. They like that. They remember it. They can also, because the shop owners or the buyers, the people that we see here, they have expertise. They know who people are. They know the types of pieces, but their employees may not yet. They may be in training. And so this information can be transferred to the people who are really on the front line of showing your work to other people, explaining why this work is unique, what is going on, all the details. And so sharing that information with the shop up front can be really powerful, and it streamlines things and makes it easier for them, and it makes them want to do business with you again. And knowing that you think of them as a partner, I've found that the shops that I work with find that really refreshing. They like that. They know that they can talk to me. They can tell me what they want and need, what their concerns are. And if I make a mistake, if I do something or on accident that kind of messes them up or that they don't like, then they feel like they can talk to me, and that is a really profound opportunity, because how you handle that is a further, it's like shit is gonna happen, And how you handle it ends up being more powerful than anything else, you know? Like fixing a mistake, fixing a piece, you know, if an employee knocks a piece off of a shelf and breaks it, I fix it for free, you know? And that, because if I can, because the shop relation that I get from that is so powerful, you know, and they come back and spend money because they know I want to make them money too, you know? What else is on here? Let's see. Understanding the cycles of buying and selling can be important. You know, some places are very student oriented, and so you know you don't want to expect to make a large sale to a shop that's dependent upon a college, like when the students are out. And so just understanding that is just, again, like kind of putting yourself in the position of the shop and knowing like more about what they need and what their cycles are, and hitting them up at the right time when their money is green and they're ready. They need that work when the students come back or whatever. 420 and 710 are kind of a weird one. A lot of shops are kind of trying to unload glass. I noticed, you know, on the stoner holidays, and so and this is all very much like you have to feel this out based on each shop. Each shop is different, each region is different, and just saying that to them and communicating like, hey, you know your demographic better than I do, what can I do? It's not about just preempting as much as just opening up those lines of communication and showing that you like care and you want to know and want to help out. Respecting and protecting pricing, regions, and retail crossover. What that means is like, if there's a shop in a town that you deal with and there's a shop across the street, you may want to consider not selling to one or the other. And I make those decisions based on loyalty, not on dollars, and it has worked out in the long run. I try not to like let shops use me as a tool like against each other or anything like that. I explain to people like, I'm sorry, like I out of respect and loyalty, like I can't sell you anything because I've been doing business with this person for so long, and if the roles were reversed, then it would be you that I would be showing that loyalty and respect to. And then if you're gonna sell things direct to your customers, you need to take into account the prices that the shops are trying to get for your work. And if you're undercutting your work, I mean, to me, this is like pretty kind of a no-brainer, straightforward, but if you undercut your work, then you lower the value of the work. You know, so just keep that in mind. It's totally fine to do retail sales, but retail is retail and wholesale is wholesale. And, you know, those lines get blurred too. I know there's like wholesale and resale, and this stuff happens too. And you have to decide for yourself, but you just have to understand, like these shops that have brick and mortar, they invest a lot in being open. And I can say for sure that I would not be where I am without the shops that have had my work and sometimes have to sit on it for a long time, but people see that work and they know what salt is because those shops have been holding on, you know, and investing their time and energy. And so I think that's really powerful. There has been moments in the industry, I've seen it a few times, where artists tend to lean towards doing business direct, which is fine, but sometimes there's an attitude, whether it's real or not, or where it's coming from, that the shops are not feeling taken care of. And there's instances where, you know, a shop owner will tell me like, yeah, this guy, I bought work from him, and then I turned around and he sold work to my customer for the same price. And it's like, that's just not a good idea. So, teach and learn. So this is just, again, philosophically, just, you know, explain, tell them what you want them to know about the work, and be open to what they have to say, so that, you know, the communication makes everything better. Okay, growing your business. It's all about revenue streams, different ways to make money, different places the money's coming in. A lot of this is kind of reiterating, but let's see. Yeah, I covered most of this already, but I do some custom orders, and I don't let it get out of control. I give people limited options based on, you know, things that I'm already making. You know, I don't like make, if somebody wants a SpongeBob piece, then I try to send them down the road to the right guy or whatever. But if they want something within my purview, then I'm all for it. And I just try to like manage expectations and make sure they understand exactly what they're getting for their money, so that nobody's upset at the end. And I take half up front and then half whenever whenever the piece is finished. And it's also good to remember what it's like to be a customer, because when you're dealing directly with people, it's all about customer service. And sometimes customers can be frustrating for whether they're, sometimes people do it because they're having a bad day. Sometimes they just don't understand. And just, taking a tick and just being, don't let yourself get upset. I have over and over again, I've had somebody kind of hit me up upset, and usually I turn that into like, they end up buying something else after I fix the problem, and then they're stoked and they buy a new thing and everybody high fives at the end. So, and then merchandise, this is a funny one for me to have on here because I haven't made t-shirts or stickers in like 6 years, but people do it, and you can make money off of it. But you have to remember that it's not all about making money. When you're doing merchandise, it's also marketing too. So you don't expect to make as much off of the merch, but you get your name out there and people get to wear your shirt, which I do have some shirts available at the show, by the way. Finally, I got my shit together, basically. So, and then what else? Scheduled drops. I noticed people are doing this a lot more with, not just with work, but also with the merchandise. It's too bad we don't have Slinger up here. He's really the one that knows the shit. But if you invest a lot up front, it can be kind of cumbersome. You got to store the t-shirts or the stuff, whatever it is. But if you have a scheduled drop, then you can kind of like get people to prepay, maybe like pre-order, and then you just order what you need, And so there's different ways to deal with it, but this is a legitimate revenue stream and also good for marketing, and should be looked into. And then trade shows. So yeah, Glass Vegas, that's pretty much the end of that one, I think. For this crew. I know there are other trade shows, and a lot of them are good. For me, I can only handle one a year anyway. I do have a couple little tricks, like people want to pay with cash sometimes, so we bring envelopes, When that cash comes in, we put it in the envelope with their card, put their name on it, so at the end, it's not like, oh, here's this brick of money, and it's, I think it makes sense. Like we can track it the same way we would a check. That has been very helpful. Also, we got pretty tricky with getting our stuff here. We didn't pay any shipping. We didn't pay any for extra bags or anything. We fly Southwest because we're coming from Texas, and we were able to get all the Pelicans into the checked bags and carry all the glass into carry-ons. And so we were able to get all of our work in here without having to use the Teamster labor. Which I know that works for some people, but I was kind of surprised that we were able to do it last year, and so I just thought I would share that with you guys because it was very helpful. I don't know. Organization is key all the way up and down, but the trade show is no exception. So having your paperwork, whatever you need, you got to kind of think for your business. So, and this one does most of all of that. I just like talk to people and tell them about the work, and then when they're ready to buy, I kind of pass them off to her, and she gets the clipboard out and starts writing it down. So marrying well is also a good idea. It's definitely smart. So, and then there's theme shows. People will have like the CFL show or the Spoon show or whatever. And so I like to say yes as often as possible and participate. And I think it's worked out pretty good. Like, a lot of those shows are kind of consignment based, which is not really my thing all the way, but I'm down, and a lot of times it's like people that I'm friends with, and it's a good thing to get your work out there, and just participation is always good, and so doing these theme shows, I recommend it. Collaborate with your friends, cross promote, dip into each other's customer bases, in a working together kind of a way. And always follow through, though. If you're going to say yes, make sure you can do what you say yes to. And it's okay to equivocate, be like, I want to, I can't guarantee, don't put me on the flyer, but I'm going to try to get it done. I do that sometimes too, because that's the truth. We have 2 kids too, and so it's like the order of operations of what's important. Sometimes, these things are towards the bottom of the list, but I don't know. this is the stuff that has worked for me. I think that's it, actually. Oh, except for this one. So I promote working hard. I like to work hard. I work really hard, but I have, as I've gotten older and just in working really hard, have like noticed, that my body will break down or will just wear out, and so I have some stuff that I do, like not every day, but every week, and it's kind of centered around this like stretching, different formats. I have like a restorative yoga class that I go to, and one of the most useful things is literally just laying down on the floor with my feet up the wall. You get your butt as close to the wall as possible, and you just let the blood like drain out of your legs. You like reverse the tendency of circulation because your feet are at the bottom always, and your head's at the top. So you flip that around, and it lets the circulation in your legs. Because I stand on concrete all day, and standing mats are really popular. But I find that I wear footwear that lets my toes splay out a little further. And instead of depending on the cushion of the mat, the right footwear helps you structure your feet better, and I get better results from that. Like versus standing wrong on a soft surface still fucks my legs up and my back, and it like chain reaction all the way up or whatever. So it's they're like restaurant Crocs. They look ridiculous, but they are really comfortable, and they have helped me personally a lot. Some people wear sunscreen for when you're blowing glass, which will help you with UV, but not with the infrared. Infrared will still burn you, and so you need a physical barrier, and I use a blast shield. Hydration, obviously drink a lot of water, but I realized actually just last year that even though I was drinking so much water, I was still super dehydrated. It was because I was sweating so much, I needed to replace electrolytes. And so I got these little tablets, and there's Gatorade and whatever, but you may still be dehydrated even though you're drinking. And this is like my personal experience. Exercising, yeah, that's a tough one. I'm sure you can tell I do it sometimes, but I highly recommend it. It's good for like your mental and physical, and it allows adding all this stuff. I put it in here because it has allowed me to work more and work harder. And then routine is, I know it's like kind of lame because we're artists and we get to make bongs and shit, but routine has been really powerful for me. I especially with my children, I like get up and we get them ready, and I come back and I got a couple hours that I spend working, and then I go to my restorative yoga class to keep my body moving, and then I do a workout if that's going on, and then I come home and I eat lunch, and so I don't know. I mean, you got to figure out what is best for you, but this has worked really well for me. And then I just threw this on here because everybody here smokes probably, or most of you, and my wife is kind of like a freelance amateur herbalist, and so apparently these herbs, I think that's supposed to say mullein, not mullion.
No, that's how you spell it.
Oh, never mind. Okay. If you eat those and drink them and tincture them, then they will help your lungs like recover and heal and feel better. And then ventilation. If you don't have ventilation, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get some fucking ventilation for God's sakes. Anyway, I think that's it though. Yeah. So now that oh, thank you. Now that I have you all here, I want to talk to you about an investment in a CBD timeshare. It's just 2 more hours. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go make some money.